it's your sis Lisa. I hope you're doing well. Guys, it's about to get possibly uncomfortable for some, possibly transparent for some, possibly convicting for some. Y'all see the title. We're gonna talk about masturbation today because I have been to so many singles panels, discussions, I've read books about singleness and navigating it with God, and masturbation comes up every once in a while, and every time, honestly, I hear something different. So it was time for me to investigate it for myself and look into it myself. So I want to share some things that I've come up with, like, is it a sin? Or can you do it? Can you not do it? So let's get into the video. So whenever we're talking about sex, we need to think about, like, what is sexually immoral? So sexual immorality is basically anything that is sex outside of what God intended. So a good verse about sexual immorality is Hebrews 13:4. Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure. For God will judge the adulterer and the sexually immoral. So in this verse, we see that sex is designed for married people. So through masturbation, people may think that, you know, it's not hurting anyone, it's just me, it's fine. But really, at the end of the day, you're not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting your future spouse as well. You're hurting your future marriage, and you're not bringing honor to the concept of marriage in the first place, which that's what sex is for. That's what God designed it for. So another verse I want to read is 1 Thessalonians 4:3-6. It is God's will that you should be sanctified, that you should avoid sexual immorality, that each of you should learn to control your own body in a way that is holy and honorable, not in passionate lust like pagans do, who do not know God. So whenever we talk about sexually immoral acts, it's important to consider like the process that leads to even an action in general. So first thing that leads to an action is a thought. So a lot of people's thoughts towards, you know, masturbation is it's a source of comfort for some people. It's a source of escapism for some people. It's honestly just a way to escape boredom for some people. There are a lot of things that can come from it, but you have to think, what is that thought rooted in? I guarantee you, any thought that leads to you wanting to like masturbate or do any kind of self-pleasure like that is not starting with the holiest version of you. It's not starting with the most like positive, God-filled version of you. It's starting from a place of probably brokenness, a place of being hurt, a place of being sad, a place of feeling lonely, a place of wanting to feel something, but not fill it with the right things, you know what I mean? So I think that's something we have to look out for when we talk about sexual immorality in general. It's like, what is the origin of this thought that I want to act on? Where did that start? What is the root of it? So when we really take a step back and think about it, we have to realize like masturbation is all in your head. Like it's all a fantasy. It's not rooted in any kind of reality that's happening. Either you're fantasizing about somebody or something, or you're watching something, you're fantasizing that something's happening to you, and you're manufacturing this situation, but it's like literally not reality. Jesus talks about this in Matthew 5:27-28. He says, "You have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." So even before you act on it, you already like are, you know, a little bit in the wrong. And I saw this sermon once where someone was like, you know, God doesn't mind you admiring his creation. He doesn't mind you being like, God, you did that when you made that person. Like, that person's cute. That person's fine. He doesn't mind that. The problem is when you start to take it too far, where you're like, you know what, that person look good. I'd like to this, that, and the third. And you're just like, whoa. That's not even what kind of party it is. You know, you can admire the creation, but you don't got to take it that far and live in that fantasy. And it's never good for us to be so rooted in a fantasy that we ignore the reality of a situation or the God-ordained view of the situation. God would never be like, hey, lust about that person. That's not even his vibe. That's not even his character, you know? And even when we talk about watching porn, it's creating a fantasy. It's creating something that's not even really happening to you. And as Jesus states in that verse that we just read, it's a form of adultery. So even if you haven't met your spouse yet, you're not dating your spouse yet, doesn't matter. Even when you commit those acts, even with yourself, and you're fantasizing, you're creating this reality that doesn't exist. And even in that fake reality, you're cheating. And that's like a lot and not cool and not fun to even think about, that you're hurting somebody who you haven't even met yet. And I've heard stories where people are like, I have masturbated so much that I cannot even have sex with a human and another human and experience it like the way that I want to. Like, they don't have orgasms anymore with other people. And that's like a lot to think about, where it's like I have mutilated what sex means so much that I can't even experience it in the way that it was intended. Can you imagine the pressure of being the spouse on the other side of that situation and being like, I don't know what like, I want to have sex with you in a way that makes us both feel satisfied, but you have created this version of me, this version of somebody, and how it's supposed to go down. And through all these times you've masturbated, you've created this sensation that I literally, as a physical human being, cannot recreate. So here we are at a standstill, and that would be like terrible. So that's another reason to just consider, like, do I want to live in this false reality, or do I want to live in the real reality of what's really happening? And maybe take a step back and think, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me not go that far in my head even, and not act on anything. Let me just, saying that's a nice creation, God. I'll be on my way, I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I know it would be naive for me to sit here and just be like, don't have sexual thoughts. It's easy. It's not, because we are surrounded by sex 24/7. Literally, you can be minding your business and walking down the street and hear someone talking about sex. Hear someone being incredibly graphic about sex, depending on where you live and what your vibe is. I went to Starbucks today, heard some crazy things. Like, literally, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can do everything you can, but if at the end of the day you are not filling yourself with God and filling yourself with, like, what do I actually believe? What do I want to feel? What do I know? You know what I'm saying? As the truth, before you even go out into the world, before you even take anything in, then it's like, it's a moot point. So what I really want to do is read you guys a verse, Romans 12:2. It's an old classic, old faithful. You know what I'm saying? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So as we watch TV, as we interact with different like media, music, movies, everything, there's honestly like, it's very hard not to embrace or even see anything sexual ever. You know what I'm saying? So it really comes down to us monitoring our mindset, monitoring what we take in and all of that. And it may be different than what most people get to do or feel like they want to do. But as Christians, we just want to follow God's purpose. What's your vibe? What's God's good and perfect will? That's what I want. That's what I'm after. And that takes reevaluating things and really checking in with him, and at all points, often. And I once heard a sermon when someone was like, Jesus is with you always. So when you about to go look at some porn, when you about to start masturbating, whatever you're about to go do, imagine Jesus sitting right there with you. Like, we are about to do this. Like, and be like, God, I know this isn't what you designed me for, but let me just go ahead. Like, I know this isn't your vibe. I know you don't like it, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyways. Like, if you really think about it like that, it's not it. It's not the vibe. It's not what God wants you to do. That's not what you should be doing. And it's just so hard because there's so many things that will tell us in the world that masturbation is okay, premarital sex is okay, all these things are okay. But in reality, if we really check in with our spirit and our conviction and the Bible at the end of the day, like, we know that, like, that's not true. But what is my truth? What do I want my truth to be? How am I going to renew my mind and be transformed? You know I'm always transparent and honest, so I want to tell you guys that these are thoughts and feelings that I've come to through Bible study, through personal conviction and personal situations, through hearing people talk about it and wondering, God, what do I think about this? Like, what is my opinion? So I extremely encourage you to really look into this for yourself. Look up some scriptures. I'm going to leave some sermons and articles down below that you can check out and read for yourself, because I think it is so important that I can tell you what I think, and I can tell you my why, I can tell you why I think this, everything. But you, in order to keep it for yourself, you need to come to it for yourself. You can use this video, other videos, the sermons down below to really uplift you and push you further. But unless you have your why, unless you have your conviction, it's not gonna stick. And you can find yourself in a cycle, you know? And so that's really why I wanted to make this video. It's because I had to come to it for myself. I had to realize, what is my yes, what is my no, what do I believe, what are my convictions on this, and that's how I got here. So I hope this has been helpful. I currently am in a situation where I have been filling my life with so many other things that I know that I've heard this saying, the idle mind is the devil's workplace. Honestly, the times I would have the most lust in my mind and in my head and in my heart were times where I didn't have anything else to do. There wasn't much else going on. I wasn't spending a lot of time with God. My spiritual health was lacking. All that was going on. So now that I've come to a point where like I read my Bible like every day. I try to make sure I'm spending a devoted amount of time with God every day and all of that. Now that I've come to that, I think there's no space for lust. And I just, every morning, I'm like, rebuking in the name of Jesus. Anything that's not of God, not in here, not in this head, not in this mind, not in this body. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have any place. And so I think that's what we have to do, is rather than think about, I don't want to do this thing, I don't want to do this thing, I don't want to do this thing, think, I do want to do this. I do want to talk to God every morning. I do want to read my Bible. I do want to pray. I do want to watch sermons by people I think are great and people I trust and look up to. I do want to watch some biblical videos, like whatever you do want to do to replace that behavior. I do want to read a book about marriage and how to be single effectively. All that good stuff. What do you want to do instead of what you don't want to do? So I hope this was helpful. I appreciate you guys watching and getting a little uncomfortable with me, because I'm not gonna lie, your girl was like, this is a topic, isn't it? So I also probably won't get monetized, all that good stuff. I really just felt led to make this because I was like, honestly, this is a video I probably needed to see, and so I wanted to make it for anyone else who needs to see it, and encourage you guys to do your own thinking through it. So I appreciate you guys, love you guys, and thanks for watching. Bye.